Hi everyone, and I'm back with another review, and this time it's a review of a new Netflix anime, Terminator Zero, which I think was by far the best Terminator work since Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And why was that? We'll get to it soon, but first let's talk about Terminator in general, because first two Terminator movies are fantastic, like the whole time travel and all that future war between humans and machines, and then a dangerous AL that leads machines sending one of those dangerous killer robots up to kill off a mother of the future resistance leader. Like, it doesn't probably sound more awesome than that actually. And then also a resistance leader sending one of his soldiers to protect them, his mother in the past, and then them getting together and actually revealing that the young soldier is actually the father of the resistance leader. Yep, the first Terminator movie was a really fantastic movie, and then the sequel, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, came out, this time with an even more advanced Terminator going back to the past, but this time to kill off an actual resistance leader as a kid. Yep, first two Terminator movies. Amazing pieces of art, science fiction, and really amazing movies. Like, who doesn't love those? But then all the sequels after it were not particularly good, starting with Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. And while I'm one of the people in the minority, but there are actually bits and pieces that I do like in that movie. Like, I do think TX is a kind of cool Terminator model, and I do like adult John Connor and his future wife Kate Brister, but the biggest issue of the movie is that overall story is like basically a rehash of Terminator 2 with a much more darker ending, and also, most importantly, it completely retcons the ending of Terminator 2. Like, I mean, it was kind of expected because otherwise there would be no story, so obviously something has to happen so you could have a story, so basically retconning Terminator 2 was really the only way, but maybe then Terminator shouldn't have any more sequels. And then Terminator Salvation came out, and I really thought it was a good idea, because even back then when I first watched those movies as a teenager, as a young teenager actually, I was like only 12 years old, 13, but even then I thought that the idea to show us the actual war between humans and machines was a really cool idea, and I very much wanted it. So Terminator Salvation was basically my dream come true. Although the actual movie, I can't say it was particularly good. Like, it's really left doors open for sequels, and I very much wanted the sequels because there was certainly a lot of room for improvement, but because the movie didn't make much money, as a result, none of the sequels ever saw the light of day. Shame, because I honestly think they could have worked. So while Terminator Salvation wasn't very well executed, at least I appreciate how it did try to do something new. Instead of another time travel, it actually decided to do something new and show us the actual war between humans and machines. And then Terminator Genesis came out, and that movie was trash. It was so much of a mess of a movie. And then Terminator Dark Fate was even worse. But, in other words, none of the Terminator movies besides the first two were particularly good. But the first two, awesome, amazing science fiction movies. And honestly, I thought that maybe I should just stick with those two. But then Terminator Zero was announced. And I was a little iffy on that. On one hand, I really love anime, and I thought that, who knows, it might work if they actually have a good idea. And then trailers came out, and they very much rose my faith in this, because the animation was really good, and also the overall trailers looked really good and all that. So the trailers did say, Terminator Zero, you have my attention. But then I read the actual premise, which was basically that Skynet sends another Terminator back into the past, but this time to kill off this guy, Malcolm Lee, who basically created a similar L, Japanese L, that apparently rivaled Skynet. And then I thought, what? So basically, same story over again, Skynet sending a robot back in time to kill someone, and then a soldier coming and protecting the person. It's just that now it doesn't tie to John Connor, but something completely different that never was even indicated in the Terminator movies. But I binged Terminator Zero, and I have to say, I was very, very wrong, because Terminator Zero is by far the best Terminator work since Terminator 2, and it was actually a very compelling story that I don't think I knew I needed, actually. Like, perhaps if none of the crappy sequels ever were made, I'm not sure this would be something we would particularly need. Probably the first two movies would be all we needed, but after so many trashy sequels, I very much think Terminator Zero is a very perfect way to move the franchise forward, actually. For starters, I really think the animation was really great. I mean, I already knew it was going to be in the trailers, and it didn't disappoint. I think it was really great, and it fit wonderfully with the story and the atmosphere. But now I'm going to talk about the actual story, because, as I already said, initially I was very worried when I read the premise of the story, but I'm glad that it was actually really good, because what's really good about it, among other things, is that it very much uses familiar classic Terminator story beats that we are all familiar with, but also brings a lot of fresh new things to the table. And I think this was really well written. Like, use familiar story beats, but also completely bring in something new. And I think Terminator Zero did very much that. Like, for example, I also really like new characters like Malcolm Lee, the creator of Kokoro, this new Japanese owl. I thought was a great character, and the twists involving him later were really interesting and unexpected. And then I think also Eiko, the soldier from the future that was sent to protect him, was also a really well done character, and I'm glad she was not a Mary Sue but an actual wonderful, compelling character. And then Malcolm Lee's kids were also really good. Yep, I think all the characters in Terminator Zero were really good. But I also really like that the movie actually did something that plenty of Terminator fans have actually been very much theorizing and speculating for years. But this movie very much confirmed it. Basically say that if you send someone back into the past, then they will create an entirely new timeline, actually. Which in some ways you can say it does validate all the crappy sequels, because we can presume that anytime someone went back in time, those were all separate timelines created by someone who went back in time. But then again, I already said it before and will say it again, I think this is a perfect way to move the franchise forward without invalidating anything that came before. And I really like how time travel was finally explained, how it all works. And it all makes sense. And as I said, fans have actually been very much theorizing about it for years. And another thing I have to talk, I also like plenty of deep spiritual themes that Terminator Zero had. Those are like very much Asian themes, and I think plenty of Western audiences might not really like that, but I really like it. And to me it was pretty clear that it was very much made by the Japanese. I mean, it's still very much a Terminator story, and this is recognizably the Terminator universe, but because of those deep spiritual themes, this is also very much recognizably a Japanese production. Besides the fact it's also an anime, we all know. I will not reveal much about the ending. All I will say is there are a couple of really interesting, unpredictable twists that completely change the perspective of the whole show, actually, and I won't reveal any of them, but trust me, you're in for a really interesting surprise with those twists. And also, yep, it very much opened door for more. And do I want more? Absolutely. Terminator Zero, I'm completely on board, and I'm very much interested now in what direction the story is going, because I really like the direction of Terminator Zero, and I now really want to see more. So I really hope Season 2 gets announced soon, because now I'm very curious where the story is going. So, thank you all of you for checking out this video. Did you see Terminator Zero? If you haven't, then you really should. And press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you then. Bye.